welcome once again to Let's Talk Marriage. This is Pastor Larry coming to you this Wednesday afternoon with Let's Talk Marriage. I hope everyone is doing well. If you woke up this morning, you are doing well. All right. We're going to get right on into our program. We're going to be continuing our conversation from last week. We were talking about going back to church. And we were talking about how important it is for us families or us men to go as families and take our family to church. We could take them pretty much anywhere else, but it seems to be lacking nowadays that we're attending church with our wives. And, and we mentioned also last week that most of the churches that you visit or might go to, most of the parishioners in there are usually women, and 85 to 90% of those women are married. Their husbands just do not attend church with them for whatever reason. And again, I mentioned before, again, if your husband is not attending church with you on a regular basis, find out. And for those of you that have not said I do yet, or have not walked down the aisle yet and are contemplating on getting married, make sure that you find out, especially if you attend church. If he does not attend church, then that conversation needs to be had, because it's very important that families attend the church, because families are the ones that make up the church. So we want to make sure that we are attending church as a family. Years ago, we all went to church on a regular basis. And this is during a time that we didn't have much. Most of us didn't have cars. Those that lived in the city, we took the public transportation to church. And we were there on time, and we were there for every service. And we had long services back then. And now all of a sudden, people just for whatever reason, they don't want to attend church anymore, whether it be a large church or a small church. If you feel more comfortable in a small church, by all means, attend a small church. If you feel better being in a church with more people and more programs and things like that, attend that church as well. But wives and husbands, have that conversation. If your husband do not like the church that you attend, you need to find out, and we talked about last week, make sure you listen to him and find out why he does not like the church that you are attending. Because it's very important, again, for us to, as families, and as married couples, to attend church together. Raise your children up in church. You take them to school, so might as well take them to church. And they'll have another alternative to school, because sometimes they don't teach the things in school that you would learn in church or in Sunday school. Make sure your children are in Sunday school. Make sure they attend, on a regular basis. And they'll get used to it. You'll get used to it. And you'll find out that the more men attend church, the more things you can do outside of the church as a group of men. I remember one church that that I attended years ago when my wife and I first got married. We had one of the ministers start what was called a Men of Faith, and we were a bunch of men. We were all, our wife. We were in church with our wives, and that was the first time I was in a church where there was that many men attending church along with their wives. But we also had a lot of things that we did outside the church. Sometimes we would go fishing, and one time we went on an outing out into Lake Geneva. We took all the men and the young boys and the young men. We took them all with us, and we had a wonderful time. And we did things as a church a lot of times too. We did things as couples. We had couple outings, and sometimes they had the women outings where they would go shopping or whatever they wanted to do. So those are the things that keep you interested in attending church and having a purpose. Because you might be on a job. It's the same thing as like if you're on a job. If you're on a job that's family orientated, and most churches are family orientated. If you're on a job that's family orientated, they work with you when you have children, they understanding when you have to be off from work because your child is sick. Those are the jobs that you want to work. And just like in the church, churches should be family orientated. And it's not about being in there a number of hours nowadays, the time that you spend and what you do with the time that you're there at church. Because it doesn't take God a long time to move. And I found out a lot of men don't like attending church because they say it's too long and they always ask for money. The reason why they ask for money is to keep the church running because the church has to, you have to pay the bills and the bills are due. And those are donations that you give to the church. And some churches request that you pay tithes and some request that you give liberal offerings. However you want to do that, you should be supporting your church and supporting your family and supporting your spouse by attending church. A lot of times, we have Easter that's coming up, and that's usually at one point in time. I'm going to take that back. Years ago, everybody went to church, whether you on Easter, whether you was a regular or not. You made sure you went to church on Easter. But nowadays, people don't even go to church on Easter. Back then you would get your finest clothes. It wasn't that you were trying to dress anybody. It was just a special occasion, especially in our community. It was a special occasion. It was a wonderful occasion. You would take pictures, and some churches had the Easter egg hunts for the little kids. And you made it a family outing that day. If you never went again that year, you made sure that you went to church on Easter. And you sometimes you went on Christmas or Christmas Eve. And, because your kids were be in the Easter program and you wanted to see little Johnny, little Mary in the Easter program. And it was so much fun. It was so enjoyable. And if you think about it, kids were a lot more respectful. We didn't have a whole bunch of kids out carrying guns and carjacking people. We didn't have problems like that. We had problems, sure enough, but we never had problems like that. And it was simply because we stayed in church. And it was no such thing as, little Johnny don't want to go to church. We were made to go to church. And by the time you got to be a teenager, you had built a rapport in church. You had your friends at church. You had your friends at school. But your friends at church seemed to always be the closest ones because you were all on the same page as far as being spiritual and being living under the covenant of God. And you had those bonds with those friends. And those bonds last a lifetime. And we mentioned that last week. So make sure that we are attending church on a regular basis. Find a church. Once again, I can't stress this enough. Find a church. We need to go back to attending church. We already took the prayers out of school a long time ago. So now we've taken the church out of the family. And that should not be. We should be attending church as a family. Find that church. If it's a church that's just starting, go in and be a part of it. Be a part of something. Make yourself a part of something, and then you will be enjoying it, and you can bring your ideals, you can bring your testimony, because a lot of times you've been through so many different things, and that's what encourages other people, your testimony. Make sure you're giving your testimony when you come to church, and just tell how you went through, and it encourages someone else, and it also encourages your pastor. So make sure that we are attending churches and stop saying, it's all about the money. If you think your church is all about the money, find a different church, because all churches are not the same. And again, there's no such thing as a perfect church, but there is churches out there that are striving to be perfect. And those churches, you want to hang on in there, and nowadays, church is not as long as it used to be, because we realize that it doesn't take God a whole lot of time to move. He can move in a half hour or an hour, depending on what type of service you have. It doesn't take all day for the Lord to move, and you don't have to be there all day. Allow that time that you have, especially if you're in a church that does not there all day. Allow that the rest of that day to be your family day. Some of us don't even go visit our grandparents. I wish my grandparents were still around. I wish my mom was still around, and I would be too glad to go and visit. Make sure you use that day, And again, like I mentioned last week, we all went to church together. My grandparents and my cousins and all of us, we all went to the same church. We had such a wonderful time. And whenever we get together now, we always talk about the times that we all attended church together. And that seemed to be a lost thing with the new generation now. Nobody wants to go to church. Nobody wants to work. What is going on? What's wrong with these people? Make some sense. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to go to church. Everybody wants everything quick. And they tell you in church to wait on the Lord. He renew your strength. We don't want to wait. We just. When we get to church, we get impatient. If the service is not going fast as we think it should go, they've been up there too long. The pastor was up there too long, and I got to get back. And then, what else you going to do? Just make sure we are attending church and enjoying the holidays. And we had a wonderful time at service last week for Palm Sunday. And we're looking forward to Easter Sunday. Make sure you attend church. If you don't go any other day, please go on Easter. But your husbands, make sure you go into church on a regular basis and supporting your wives, because your wives work so hard, and a lot of times they work hard even in the church, and they have programs and they're part of something in the church, and you're not there one of the special days. And make sure you're there supporting your wives and supporting your children when they're in the little programs and when they're in Sunday school, and whenever they get up to say something in church. Make sure you are supporting them. And it just makes everything just so wonderful. And that's why we have to make sure that we go back to taking our children to church. And I can't stress it enough how important it is. And it's not just enough to listen to church on social media. Mainly what social media was made for is for your people that are out of town, your people that are bedridden, your people that are shut in and can't get out. That's what social media services are for. For all you able-bodied people, you should be there in person. And it's even more enjoyable when everyone shows up and share in fellowship. When you fellowship with someone that's on the same page it just makes everything just so wonderful. It's just like going to a birthday party. Just like Jesus having a birthday party and we don't show up. You know how it is when you were a kid and you had a birthday party, how hurt you were when the other kids didn't show up for your birthday party. And Sundays are Jesus' birthday party, and some of us don't even show up for his birthday party, but we want a gift now. So make sure we are attending church on a regular basis. Make sure that we are attending as a family. And this is going to conclude our talk on attending church. Next week we'll be moving on for those of you that don't want to hear this anymore. But make sure you go to church. Hallelujah. Make sure you attend church. This Easter is coming up, and it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful day. Make sure you're attending church once again. This is Pastor Larry. We're going to be signing off. I'm going to take this opportunity to invite you out to our services. We're at 150 14 South of Splain Street. This is our location for now. We're located in the Plainfield Community Center. Plainfield Township Community Center. Make sure you are in attendance. Our services start at 11 a.m. On Sunday mornings. For right now, we're looking forward to moving into our permanent location or semi-permanent location in a not so distant future. So look forward to it. We'll give you announcements on that when we make that move over to our new location. We'll give you the location and the time and everything. And make sure you attend church. This is Pastor Larry. I'm going to be signing off until we meet again with Let's Talk Marriage. All right.